All right, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This is another episode of the Financial Life. Today, I'm your host. I go by Matty D, and today I have how do I say this? A man of extraordinary things he's done in his life, who's got a lot to share today. I'll tell you that much. I've learned a lot from him in our short conversations and all that today, and I'll get to him in a bit. But before I do, I gotta do my shameless promotion, as y'all know. So, as you know, with our company, we help people with some financial literacy, also some things along with credit, also one-on-one personal coaching as well. If you need help with those, you can book a call with me. It's free. And to do so, just go to speakwithmatt.info. Again, speakwithmatt.info. No need to put in the triple W, just speakwithmatt.info. And today's episode is sponsored by also as well Born to Risk. I'm one of the co-authors of the book. I'm chapter 39, and the reason why is because I turned 39 at the time of this recording yesterday, Sunday, August 11th. So for that, with that being said, I'm done. I want to welcome my guest, Richard, who is a man who I know is going to give us a lot of value today, experience, wisdom, business, and life. And with that being said, Richard, I thank you for being on and welcome. How are you?
Thank you. Terrific. I'm vertical. That's really what counts.
I heard that in a minute. You're right. I'm vertical. I'm like, that's a good point.
In my advanced maturity, that counts as something really important.
That does. And I would say nowadays, being vertical, regardless of which stage of life you are, pretty important.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Um, hmm?
I was going to ask you what you'd like to start with. What do you have on your agenda, Matt?
Good question. I would like to know more about your upbringing in life and, how that translated into you getting the business to where you are today. And like what did you learn from that? And I know also as well, we we're speaking about social media the other day, and you're like, we're not heading in a good direction. I want to get your take on that too as well, because I agree. Social media has been more of like a boon. Is that the correct word? Like more of more of a hurt for society versus like the benefits of it, which there are, but we're just not using it in a way that it's productive for society. Oh, the world actually. It's just like, what are we doing? So yeah.
That's a whole discussion, probably 5 hours all by itself. Neither of us have that. Let's see. My upbringing. I started in Philadelphia, and I started really very early selling vacuum cleaners. Then I managed a gas station.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I loved cars. I was a motorhead. I wouldn't touch under a car under the hood today at all. You can't. From there, I went into the apparel textile industry in a family business for 5 years, and I learned a lot there. My father started me in the sweeping the floors and in the shipping room, so I really understood what the business was about. I didn't come in with a silver spoon in my mouth, and it was a great learning about people. We had I don't know, somewhere between 50 and 75 people at the time. That was so long ago that the numbers don't even mean anything anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And the situation in the apparel textile industry, certain, and there is no more, not much of it left here in this country. That was in Philadelphia. It was a big deal at the time. And the issue with it, and the reason I'm not in it, was because of the attitudes of the owners, the
Mm.
people. From my perspective, it's always about the people. And anyone who has been around the textile industry in the older days, back in the day, they can tell you that the attitudes of the leaders in that industry were not people oriented. They were only, oh, well, not a lot different today, dollars and cents, but they were worse than that. They frequently mean and ornery.
Really?
Yeah, uh, and nasty. And it's not necessarily the case today at all. It's one of the reasons that it's not that there isn't much of an actual textile apparel industry here anymore. One of the reasons, but it's also why I left. I left the industry because while I did okay financially, I had my soul had a big hole in it. Um, you want to pause there, or do you want me to continue? Tell
You
me
can
what.
keep going. It's fine. It's your
All
story.
right.
Like, I didn't
So
know that the textile industry could be, I guess, ruthless because,
yeah,
people.
yeah, yeah, and there's a lot of ruthlessness today as well. I mean, it depends on the business, the individual. These stereotypes and generalizations don't work because people are who they are. Each person is
Yeah.
their own person. It's just industries and groups do develop reputations. At any rate, I was ready to get out of that and responded to an ad in the Wall Street Journal where an organization was looking for executives who were burned out. And that was me at that time.
Mhm.
And I wrote back to them. I said, well, I'm not sure that, I mean, I'm not sure that you're the people for me. I know that I am the right person for you because they wanted somebody who was selling,
Right.
who was selling. I still sell. Uh, B2B sales is my thing. Because when you're in consulting, which is what I do for the past 47 years, just celebrated a 47th anniversary with Leadership Management International. And if you're not selling, you don't have a business. So one needs to know how to sell. Left textiles, came into this business, and the rest is history, as they say. In Philly, I built a sizable organization. We had 8 or 9 people. Our phone rang. We didn't have to do a lot of outbound stuff.
Okay.
Because we get results. We measure everything we do, we document it, and in certain instances, we will guarantee a return on investment of a minimum of 2 to 1.
Nice.
That's where I am today. And I'm looking for 1 or 2 people to flesh out the organ. Well, I haven't had an organization in some time, and I'm based in Florida now.
Right.
Uh, I would like to step sideways, not out, just sideways, and leave room for younger people to pick up on RSL Consulting Group, which is me, and carry my message and my values forward. And it's without a system of goals, our only motivation is survival. And it's always about the people. They're my 2 mantras.
I like that. Interesting. Okay.
Now, along the way, related to your business,
Hmm.
uh, what I learned is you better start saving. I used to ride the train to New York. I hope that people don't mind these silly
It's
stories.
fine. There's value in it.
Uh, Twice a week for all the time I was in the apparel industry, I would ride the train to New York from Philadelphia. And on one of those trips, one of my customers, they were not clients, they were customers in the dress business that I used to sell to. I used to sell to the women's apparel industry. And we were just talking, which we do on the train. We played chess, we played cards, we just talked. He said, you ought to start investing. I think I was 21 at the time. $10 a month into Vanguard. That's what he told me in 1959.
Wow.
And since I knew everything, I didn't do it.
I knew everything. I don't need that. Vanguard? Wow.
Yeah,
You could have been,
that's right. I wouldn't be here. I can tell you that.
there's no way. I wouldn't even know who you are. I'd be like, nah, I'm gonna do a podcast. I don't know who you are.
So, one of the things I learned looking back was as far as the financial arena goes,
Mhm.
the earlier one begins to invest or save, both are appropriate for themselves and their family, the happier they're going to be later on. If you don't pay attention to that, you can get into trouble, which I did at some point, and it isn't fun.
Yeah.
It is definitely not fun to not be able to pay your bills or pay your debts off, and it, paying attention to where your money is going and how it's growing while you're sleeping which is the is a mantra that people use now. Your money has to be working while you're sleeping, and I agree with that. If I had done the Vanguard thing, that's what would have happened.
Yeah.
So uh, the other thing is, it's okay to use a credit card. Only it was better when it was a charge card, like
Mhm.
the Diners Club, which most people on this call might not even remember.
I remember hearing about that. I forget. I don't know. It was years ago, and it was like Diner's card, and I'm like, okay, it's done. It's done with it's old, whatever. But
Yeah.
wasn't that like a
It-
like a catalog of things you could buy from them, or
No, no,
was
the
it?
Diners Club was a charge card created by restaurateurs, ideally and originally to be used to take people out to dinner or lunch in a business way. And you had 60 days, not 30 days, to pay,
60.
but you had to pay every month. And what happened is they got caught up in the credit card craze, which has put the US in the highest debt position it has ever been in consumer wise, very unhealthy. And they tried to sell the Diners Club as a credit card. And those of us who had it, which I did from the beginning, we were not buying the Diners Club because we didn't need it. We already had Amex
Yeah.
and MasterCard and Visa. So the Diners Club just went away.
Wow.
And it's too bad because it was healthier. You didn't spend what you didn't have. And that is the first law of staying out of trouble financially is don't spend what you don't have.
Right.
And it's not my business. That's your business. But as
Yeah.
a user, that's what I learned.
You use it responsibly, and if you run a business responsibly and strategically, and then you're fine. You
Yeah.
can't just treat it like it's. Cause that's what I did. I got my first credit card, and no one. The advice I was given on my first credit card was put it away, chop up, don't use it. Didn't know any better, and still spend it. But now I'm like, that's horrible advice. I should have been taught. This is what this means. It's not your money. It's the bank's money.
Yeah.
Here's what you use it for.
Yeah.
That's it. If you
Yeah.
don't use it, you lose points, but just use it and that's it. That's all you got to do.
Here's what I've learned now in this industry, in this business that I'm in, of organization development, working with the leaders of small to mid-sized organizations primarily. If you don't have a vision and you don't formulate strategy to support the realization of the vision, and you don't allow the strategy to, well, to quote one of my idols, Peter Drucker, to degenerate into work, which are executable system of goals organizationally inside of a structure that is designed systemically to support the activity with positions filled by those with the appropriate attributes to execute and perform consistently, then you'll not have a successful business. Now, putting that all in one string, I created the system,
Mhm.
not a very romantic name.
But it is what it is. It's the
That's right.
system. There you go. You're the guess. Okay.
That's it. It's a system, and it's composed of these 5 phases: articulate a vision, formulate the strategy to support it, create a system of executable organizational goals that will enable you and your people to make it happen, communicate all of that to them, then make sure that the structure within which they are working is supportive, creates a culture that fosters growth and development and flourishing rather than misery, and then make sure when you bring the people on board that they have the attributes you need to consistently perform. Then they will be happy, the organization will be effective, it will generate both revenue and profit, which will bring the strategy, because this is coming right back up, the strategy to realization, which will enable the vision to come into being.
Right.
It's simple to say. Well, maybe not so simple, but it takes a lot of work and commitment on the part of leadership to make it happen. That's where we are.
Yeah. You kind of, I think you may have answered this question, but with what what you laid out, your formula, a recipe, what do you think? What's your take right now with people and companies? Because I've seen enough videos on like, well, I've seen videos on like Facebook and some that were shared off TikTok and Facebook about people complaining about the companies and them feeling as if, what was it? There's a, what am I trying to say? That
I don't know.
today, yeah, I know that today there's a disdain between where people are working and their employer, like they don't feel appreciated and they're working hard and it's like, what are you doing? And there's a disconnect here, right?
Yep.
What do you think we need to do to change all that, or the companies need to do to change that? This way, employees feel like they matter, they care, and like they'll actually show up and do the work, and not just be like, "I'm sorry, I can't do it today. I'm taking a mental health day. It's this, it's that," and it's like you're never gonna survive that way if you're always using some excuse to not have to work and then complain about working. And then the ones that are working are like feel like they're getting shafted and they're like, what are we doing? So
That's a description of what goes on, certainly across the spectrum of larger organizations in particular, because they get too big
mm-hmm.
for leadership to pay attention to each individual, even though there are exceptions. One of the problems is the quarterly reporting that is required by stockholders and the focus on making the numbers every 90 days, which doesn't allow time for leadership to think about the people, only the numbers. And it creates a major problem. And then it becomes bad capitalism, if you will. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
capitalist, absolutely. I'm an independent. I mean, all of those things.
Yeah,
But there's good capitalism. You can do good while you're making good. You can do both. You can help other people. You can support your people. The creation of culture in an organization that will, in fact, enable people to grow and develop and to flourish rather than be what the Gallup polls indicate, like 60% of the workforce is disengaged.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And they are because their managers, starting with middle man, maybe even supervisors, but middle managers are pressured from up above to make those numbers.
yeah.
And therefore they don't treat their people well and they don't consider the people, whether they want to or not. If they're going to keep their job, they have to follow their directives. So it really is dependent upon, and we use upper, middle, and lower. It really, an organization, an organization chart needs to be turned on its head so that the people are across the top who are closest to the customer and the
Right.
CEO is at the bottom holding up everything else. That's how it works. If it isn't that way, it doesn't work, because the job of the CEO and the next level and the next level and the next level is to provide the support, the tools, the expertise, the resources for the people to satisfy the customer.
Right.
You know, there's always talk about customer service. Every customer gets served.
Right.
The question is, are they satisfied with the service? So when when the city of Pompano Beach, the city manager responded to my email about I'm going to help you do what's going on here even better. Uh, I had to know what he was interested in. He wanted the residents of Pompano Beach to feel that the city really cared. He wanted satisfied residents satisfied with the service that the city was providing. So that was what we focused on at almost 2 years, working with groups of middle managers.
Mm-hmm.
and documenting the return, which was unsolicited letters of commendation because they kept improving their service and
Right.
the residents got satisfied.
I like that.
Satisfaction is what it's about, not the service. They're always served. And now I'm focused on the utilities of Pompano Beach, working with people there because if you don't have clean water,
You're
you're in trouble.
gonna have some angry people and unhealthy people too. You don't
That's
want both, and then it just gets worse. That's why we have Flint, Michigan, all that.
that's right.
I can't believe that's still going on. Like what? Well, I'm going to that right now.
Yeah, can't go. Don't go there. I don't have enough. I know about it, but I don't have enough information to talk about it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's it's. I love what I do because I watch my clients, the participants in my programs, which are never, not never, depends on what I'm doing, are development programs because I don't do training. I do development of the people, range from 3 to 9 months because people do not develop overnight or even in a week.
Right.
And watching them grow and develop and learn and then apply it to their roles and their jobs is so fulfilling. That's why I'm still in this after 47 years. It's tremendous reward for me. And I'm focused on helping the leaders understand, and it's always the leader that makes the decision and either is a champion of creating a supportive culture or not. It's that simple.
Right.
And not complex because we're people, so it's very complex. But it comes down to them supporting it. And it, right now, it just happens that the director of Pompano Beach Utilities is a believer. Absolutely, the people are number one. Now, on the international stage, Unilever, big company,
Yeah.
international. Uh, in 2010, a new CEO came in, Pullman, and he told all the stakeholders, I am not going to give you quarterly reports on our financial performance.
Wow.
That's right. And he said, if that's not okay, then you have to get another CEO. But what I am going to be doing is focusing on the people in our organization. When he retired in 2020, all he did was return 220% to his stockholders. That's all. By focusing on the people and not kowtowing to the finance guys
Right.
or the board who wanted financial results every quarter. Because if that's what you're focused on, you'll get the results, you'll get numbers, but it won't be what you want. The
So
people make it happen.
right. So would this be applicable to what we're seeing now with Amazon? It's everywhere. It's convenient, but the people aren't liking the working conditions, and it's gotten so big. And Jeff Bezos, he's doing his own thing. It's like it's changed from when it started. Is that what happens with a lot of these companies where in your I want your opinion on this, where it starts out small, like Walmart, the values of Walmart, um, I know a little bit about it, this history, are very different today than when it started. And do you think it's possible for where from where a business starts out in the basement, right? It grows and grows and it gets one location or two. Is it possible for the business to still maintain its shared values where it's focused on people from that point to where it can get to it's international, like McDonald's, for example?
The question you're asking doesn't have a straightforward answer from me. I can't
Okay.
speak for someone else. There are, well, this Paul Pullman of Unilever proved that a giant company, 100,000 employees or more, can maintain a culture of caring about the people
Yeah,
and make money at the same time. So it can be done, but
right.
it takes someone in his position to say, this is how we're doing it. And if someone doesn't want to do that and behave that way in the management and leadership group, they can't work for that company anymore.
Mm,
There needs to be a time when the leader needs to say no, You do it this way because the culture of the people are number one. And I had a client way back, a giant travel company. And he was asked if you could only focus on, if you could say that only one group of people are most important, who would it be? Your investors, your customers, or your employees? He said, my employees.
Yeah.
Because if they're the most important, they will make sure everybody else is happy.
Oh yeah.
Well, you say, oh, yeah, but that isn't the way many companies work. Which is why I
Yes,
like
that's
the
correct.
small to mid-sized organizations rather than the giants, because I can first of all talk to the leader, whatever his or her title. I can help them, which is usually how it works. When I work with a 50 or a 75 or 100-person company, the leader frequently is in that business because they're in that business. It could have been left to them. They could be an expert in that field, but they have never clarified their goals and their vision for the future. So
Right.
the first thing I do is put them through a personal leadership development process. Who are you? Where are you going? Why are you going to go there? How are you going to get there? If you can't answer that, why should anyone else follow you?
Right.
So it's developing leadership first. Then they need to communicate that, however they get that done. And we help them figure out how to do that. It's different for each industry and each organization. Make sure your people know why you're asking them to do certain things. And then you've got a shot at having them doing it willingly and well. It's always about the people.
So long as the people, the employees are taken care of, everything else can flourish and flow from there. So when
That's
you're
right.
not, and this is where we're seeing today with people not being taken care of. And it feels, and I've worked for places where like when they take care of you, you're like, all right, cool. You actually want to do your job and actually want to help. You feel good.
Exactly. Exactly. That's what happens. It's
You're
not
like, no, I
magic.
got this. And you'll work harder and you'll work longer and you'll want it, but like you'll do because you know you're taking care of it. And you're like, okay, cool, I'm good.
Yeah,
You just will. And you're like, this is a good
that's right.
place. You know, and you won't want to leave until you're just tired of it because you're like, I want to do something different. That's when you want to move on versus
That's a
this place
different thing.
sucks.
Right.
Yeah. I've I've been there personally in places and I'm like, this sucks. I hate it. And then like when you're like, no, I'm taking good here, good care of. Let me focus on other things. Then it's different. It's different. Different state of being you're in, and it's better. It's
Yep.
preferable. But
Yep.
so
Yep.
many places do what you say, and it's not just on the bigger scale of the companies like Amazon. It's also on the like the smaller scale too.
Oh, yeah.
And it's
And
sad.
our society, since it's so financially oriented, you can't get along without money. It's just the way it is. That's not a bad thing,
Yeah.
but the focus is on it more than it is frequently, more than it is on the well-being of the people, which, from my perspective, needs to be paramount. The well-being of the workforce, since we're talking about business here. If the leadership and the systemic leadership that is designed into the system, which doesn't happen often. I have a
Right.
colleague who is very big on systemically designing a leadership system that pervades the entire organization. And it carries certain values. And if the values are supported and are not ignored, then they will keep um, be self-replicating no matter what level or what division or what department, because it's systemic. Leadership with these values is part of how we do things here. And then the right people are hired who have the right values. Those values, they're only right for that company at that time. And they're willing to work and they pass it to the next one. And then it just burgeons, it grows positively.
Yeah.
But it starts not but and it starts with leadership. That's where it is.
Get the leadership right, and everything else can follow. Well,
Yeah,
yeah, and then take care of the people. Taking
exactly.
care of the people.
Take care of the people.
Oh man. If only I was taught that as a kid growing up, maybe my life would be way different. And maybe if you invest in the Vanguard, we both be in different places. Like, nah, I know everything. I'm not doing that. Oh, but in those situations, you have no idea what the future holds. So it's like it's too risky, so you don't do it. But then you're like, oh.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you, is there anything other than like business, I guess, like any of your life lessons that you could share that like people should know? Because I feel like the my generation and younger could really use some like, hey, this is how you handle this. You're gonna be fine. Just keep take it one day at a time because it's sometimes I'm like, what in the world? I know you've seen way more change than I have.
Mhm.
And I'm looking at this going back to like just high school and what happened between 2002 and 2024? Like it's just been this gigantic thing where I'm like, I feel like things aren't simple anymore. It's like, well, I remember when this was a thing, and now I'm like, what the hell's going on with everybody? It's just can we all calm down? So yeah.
Well, interesting perspective. The 1950s, with Leave It to Beaver and the Nelsons and all of those TV
Yeah.
sitcoms and situations, uh, that doesn't really exist today. Uh, and they even then they were fairy tale versions of what was going on. It was my recollection is that it was easier. There was less ongoing competition, and there was more satisfaction because that was post World War II.
Hmm.
And we were coming off of a very tough time for the world, as in this country, of course.
Yeah.
But here, some of the things that I've learned over time is that if you respect the other person's point of view and allow them to speak and share it, you can avoid a lot of heartache and argument and fights. And that goes for marriage, business, buying, selling. It doesn't matter what you're doing. Your car mechanic, if you take the car to the mechanic because there's a problem, let them fix it.
Right.
Don't tell the mechanic what you think is wrong. Say, here's the symptom, drive the car and you fix it. That's it.
Right.
Respect other people and their viewpoints. There's a lot of changes that have been made with men and women. When I came into the world, into the business world, women were still second class citizens. Now, some people try and keep them there today. It's not working. It does not work. And I
Right.
don't know why they should be second class citizens. My wife is about 10 times better at most things than I am. It's just how it is. I am her second chef. When we're cooking or baking or something, I'm her sous chef. She's the boss. And when she says, go get this, I don't ask her, are you kidding me? Why? I go get it.
Right.
Grease the pan. Okay, that's all. So
Right.
respect the other person's skills and attitudes and opinions because they're as valid as yours. So I've learned that. I've learned that most things in moderation, as opposed to extremes of too little or too much, will do the best, will be the most satisfying. And that goes for any domain. Uh, I mean, there are a lot of life lessons around um, exercise. Absolutely. I've been walking 2 to 5 miles every day for 40 years.
Wow.
And I will tell you that it has made a huge difference in my life. Uh, I know that that's part of the reason I'm vertical. that
Yeah. At least
that
one.
I feel good. That
Yeah.
there's nothing seriously wrong with me. That um, I take vitamin C. I eat almonds. My wife makes sure we eat decently at home.
Yeah.
No, there's stuff that you learn. Don't eat a lot of fast food. You'll be better off. I mean, you asked me what I've learned. There's a lot of stuff.
You're right. It's
And
fine.
I've learned some people can help plants to grow and some people kill plants.
I'll take that for what it's worth. I'm
Yeah,
sure
that's
I'll
just
be now have a deeper meaning as I go. Oh my God, he was right. You're killing plants. What do you mean? Get out of here. You're killing plants. You're not healthy to be around this and our future garden, you know?
yeah, that's right. So there are a lot of things I have done. I've been a sculptor. I've been a pianist, all amateur. not professional by any means, and they fill certain voids.
Yeah,
It can't be all work and not have. I read like crazy. I used to read 40 books a year. I'm down to 10 or 15. Uh,
that's
just
still a
because,
lot compared to most people, by the
yeah,
way. It's like the gold medal of reading, like you, so you're good.
yeah, it is. It's different, and I prefer science fiction to other things, but I read other things. So my wife is leads a book club, and almost every book that she reads with them, I read. Why not? It's,
Right,
it can't hurt, and that's how we expand our vocabulary, which makes it possible for us to communicate with more people in different groups. Because if your lexicon is real narrow, you have one, and that's the only way to express yourself, you're going to be limited in getting something to happen over here, if that's where you want it, instead of over here.
right.
So your breadth of use of the language is really important, no matter what the language. Right now, I'm working on Spanish. I just want to be reasonably proficient in using Spanish. And I love it. I'm just enjoying it. That's all. There's a, and you got to enjoy stuff. I don't know if I'm helping you here or not, but this is
Fine,
me. You asked.
fine. Hey, no need to question your answers of like, hey, I asked. It is what it is. Spanish is not my forte. I tried to take it. I take it. Took it in high school. Took it in college. And my thing was just the listening part.
Uh-huh.
I couldn't really like get myself to. My sister speaks English. She's living in Mexico now. I think Mexico's there. So she's can speak it, go all day long
Oh
on.
yeah. If she's living there, she will
Yeah,
learn
me on the
that.
other hand, I'm like, wait, slow down. What'd you say? And I had the common thing of like, it's easier. It's easier to read it and understand it versus speaking it. There's that jump you got to make. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So
what I have found over the years, whenever I went to a country that didn't speak English, I learned the language enough to have a conversation with people that I was going to meet to buy things, to eat dinner, and all of
yeah,
that. And because the reality is, to overuse the word reality, language creates our reality. That's all we have. Language is it. So if I go to Spain or go to Italy or go to Greece, I want to be able to communicate with the people in a way that they can uh, respond the way a native would respond. That way I can learn who they are. I don't want to force them to use English as their second language. I have a
right,
client in Curacao. The people in Curacao speak 3 or 4 different languages because it's a polyglot of population from uh, Latin America, from the Netherlands, from Germany, from France. So all of those languages are all over the place.
mm,
And when I speak to my client there, who happens to be from Costa Rica, um, when we talk about her clients, I happen to work with her clients, I have to be think differently because the nuances in the various languages change the way they hear me say things.
right.
So language and the breadth of use of the language is really important. That was that's one of the most important lessons I've learned.
Language, the lexicon. Yeah,
Mhm.
you're right. The words do create and shape reality, how we perceive things and what we say. And I don't think people realize that so much, which is why you should watch how you should read books and
That's
learn
right.
new words and learn how to talk to your employees better, and then you get more of what you want. See, we brought it back to what
Exactly.
you do. There we go.
Exactly.
Fine.
Yeah.
See, you should
We
ask.
just solved all the world's
I
problems, right?
just did. I just did, but no one's gonna listen to me. What do I know? I'm only 39. I have so many. I have so long to go.
Did you remember who was 39 forever?
Oh, you told me this. No, it was a famous comedian, right?
Yes.
On the radios you would
Yes.
watch. Um,
Jack.
yeah, no, that wasn't close. I was thinking of some C or something. No, yeah.
Jack Benny. was
Dak Bennett.
39 forever.
39 forever. And you look
Yeah,
50. I'm 39. All right. Hard life. Yeah, I'll take it. Fine. I'll just shut up and leave you alone.
yeah,
Um,
it was terrific.
yeah.
That's another thing I learned. The radio stimulated imagination the way no visual can. Movies, television, cell phones, computers, if you're already seeing it,
Hmm.
you've lost a percentage of what your imagination will do. Yes, you can piggyback off of it. It's not a bad thing.
Right.
But when you listen to the radio, and I listened to a program, whether it was the Lone Ranger, you know who he was?
I've heard of it. Yeah. I don't know, but I've used to
Cowboy.
hear of
He was a cowboy, but a good one. Had silver bullets. He was a Texas Ranger, and he was the last one out of a group. So the Lone
it.
Ranger
Ranger. Yeah.
became the Lone Ranger. If I would listen to him riding his horse Silver and his Native American sidekick named Tonto, my head would go bananas creating pictures of what they were doing while I was
Yeah.
listening to that adventure on the radio. I had to make it up. So when it transitioned to TV, it was only one person's imagination, the writer for that show. No matter what show it was that transitioned from radio to television, the writer or writers, it was their imagination that created the pictures on TV, not mine.
Would you say that with as technology has evolved and now with social media that even my generation should and the younger one now that we've lot not been taught how to use our imagination in its in in fully because we're just being served something nowadays. Scroll through your phone, you can look at that versus what you just said. Hearing on the radio, it's whatever you saw because you're hearing it. Versus now, we're just like you said, the TV, it's someone else's imagination. Social media, it's someone else's, I guess, not imagination, but intention to show you something to get you riled up. And you feel like that we should go back to that time where it's like just reading and hearing it versus seeing it all over the place and kind
What
of
do you think?
what do I think?
Yeah,
Well, it's about you today, not me, but okay.
but
What
this
do
is,
I think?
yeah.
I It's a good question. I almost feel I almost think part of me says like we need to limit ourselves to like social media and stuff and all that. And like if you're doing it for business, that's one thing, but still, and just do more reading. And I guess they should reintroduce, which they have actually now. You have audiobooks, so maybe not. It's probably not as engaging as it was back in the day because I remember hearing some clips when I was growing up, and they actually had to make noises and sounds so you could be full engaged. With the audiobooks now, it's one step closer to that, but you have to imagine it and see it. It's not as engaging. So I feel like there are some things in our society that can be I don't say removed, but just reduced to a simpler way that actually would benefit people. And then now having the technology we have would be more of like a bonus that that should be actually adding now I need to read more. It should be adding quality to our lives and not lowering the quality of our lives. And also lowering the quality of our lives and being told that this is the norm and thinking that this is how it's been and then also being taught that back then was worse but it wasn't and yet people are on so many anxiety medicines so many diagnoses and the happiness of people is so low but we have all these great things yeah we're miserable but your time, oh no, it was bad, it was horrible, it was terrible. And I'm like, they don't seem like it today. They're much older than we are. So what's going on? Something's amiss. That's my view.
Okay. Well, almost nothing is forever.
Yeah.
And in terms of AI, this morning I read a piece uh, that concerned with the investors in AI, they are withdrawing their money. The party, the peak of the party may well be over. Not that it's going to go away,
Yeah.
but it will normalize to a level that it is just part of life and used appropriately rather than be the be all end all, which is the way it is presented today. And it, if the investors begin to withdraw, then the invention, the development will slow to a reasonable pace and we can keep up. We're at a place right now, again, based on what I've read, that people were really concerned that AI was out of hand and we could end up suffering at our own hand.
Right.
I don't know that that's true or not. Isaac Asimov had the first three laws of robotics, and if they were read into the system, the trouble is anything that we create in the way of AI is based on the bias and the perception of whoever did the programming. So the person is always in there.
Right.
There's always a person in there. So depending on who the programmer was, anything that's driven by a computer needed a programmer, or if it's built in to be self-programming, it replicates what was already put in by a person.
Right.
Therefore, whatever's going on is based on a person's perception and their biases, and we're all biased. We
We
all have.
are. Yep.
So there, I don't know that it's better, worse, indifferent. Again, nothing is forever. Um, I'm glad I'm around to see what's going on. I wish I was going to be around for another 100 years because there'll be some massive changes.
Yeah.
Uh, but I'm pretty happy with what I've seen to this point. Some stuff is not terrific in my view. Uh, that's all I have to say on that number, on that note.
I like it. So, as to come to the close, I have one more question for you, actually two more. The second to last one is what what's one more thing you want to share with people that you feel that they should know going forward in life and in business?
I don't know if it's still true, but we were raised on the golden rule: do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
Hmm.
The golden rule doesn't actually work when it comes to management and leadership. And the reason it doesn't is that everyone is different. And if I wanted to be, I need security. This is an example. If I'm working to build security and safety for my future, I would like to be treated and compensated that way compared to a person who is working for recognition and growth and drive, and they want to be treated that way. They are
Right.
totally different. So that you can't, and if I'm one and not the other, I can't treat them the way I want to be treated. It doesn't work.
Right.
That's why it doesn't work, because it doesn't work. If you understood the double entendre, it doesn't work because it doesn't work.
Yep.
So one thing is think about the golden rule before one applies it in life, in a relationship. My wife and I were both advanced in our maturity. We are still learning about each other. It's our third marriage, both of us. And it's the best, and it will be our final. We are going to make it together till whatever that ends.
Yeah.
And we are still learning about each other because we have learned that there's nuances under there that don't come up unless there's an event or a trigger. So that's one. That's the answer to that one.
I like that. That's good. Still learning about each other all these years later. If you're like, what? Yes.
That's right.
Process. It's uncovering more and more. Last thing I have for you is if for those who want to reach out to you, how can they contact you and all that fun stuff?
They can call me at on my cell, which is at 215-872-6025. They can email me at rslewine, that's RSLEWINE, at rslgo.com. they can go onto LinkedIn and plug my name in and ask to connect. I am not on Facebook. I am on Instagram under exec_concierge. So I'm reachable at least 3 or 4 ways, and I welcome anyone who wants to chat. I'll have to fit it into our calendars, but I'm happy to share what I can. That's why I'm in this business, to help other people.
I like it. Cool. Richard, I thank you for being on. Appreciate it. It's been fun. It's been good. Learn more
Thanks.
about you and your process about how what people need to do in this in business. And it's simple, but I don't
It's
run the world.
Yeah. Thank you, Matt. I appreciate the opportunity to chat with you.
You're welcome. Thanks for being on.
See ya.